friends, we're back with another video on Blaha we're going to react to. We're going to react to the gym lifting recruiting fitness gear slave himself, Blaha. In this video, Blaha says vegan and carnivores diets are inappropriate for gaining muscle or strength. They're inappropriate for gaining muscle or strength, these vegan or carnivore diets. Carnivore is not a diet. I don't know what's the matter with this guy. Wow.
Both vegan and carnivore diets are inappropriate for gaining muscle.
I like this. Both vegan and carnivore diets are inappropriate. Here's the question. If carnivore is a diet and vegan is a diet, then what do humans eat? What are humans? When we talk about lions, or wolves or other animals out there, meat eaters, let's just say, okay, we call them carnivore animals, right? We refer to them as carnivore animals. So how do we refer to humans as? What are they? What do we eat? What are we? See what I mean? So he thinks that carnivore is a diet. We are carnivore animals. We are carnivore animals. Christ. Man, this guy's really gone.
Strength. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. Quick reminder though, if you will please click like down below, it'd be greatly appreciated. If you aren't subscribed or following.
No, I can't follow, subscribe, or give you a like because you banned me, you dumbass.
Please do so and drop me a comment down below underneath the video. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get over to this topic. People follow these sort of diets for a variety of reasons. Whether it's
I love this. They follow these diets for whatever reason. Fuck me, man. Carnivore is not a diet. It's what you fucking are, old man. You understand me? You are a carnivore.
Logical, ethical, and yes, I have seen people who pull ethical carnivore. Don't even get me started on that.
What is this ethical carnivore? Anything you're eating outside in science, it'll tell you this, is considered a diet. Do you understand me? It's a behavior. Actually, it says diet is something is made up. It's something you make up. It's really based on behavior. It's a behavior. See what I mean? If you see a dog sometimes chewing on grass, that's a behavior. Why is he chewing on grass? I don't know. Go and ask him. Fuck. But he is a carnivore animal. Now, humans are carnivores. Why are humans eating apples and candy bars and these vegetables with like salty, sweet stuff poured all over them for taste? Because it's based on addiction. That's why. The behavior that humans exude is based on what? Addiction, especially salt and sugar. So they put it on everything. They put it on everything. You go like, this donut tastes so good. What tastes so good about the donut? Think about that for a second. The sugar. You know what I mean? What tastes so good about coffee? It's bitter. It's toxic. What tastes so good about it? Oh, the sugar. Got milk in there and sugar. Okay. See what I mean? What tastes so good about this? Well, sugar. What tastes so good about this? Salt. What really tastes so good about chips? You think chips taste good? No. They put salt all over it. And you eat that. Salt is not good for humans. Those are the two things that destroy you. Salt, let me explain something to you. Salt will deteriorate the shit out of you. Salt and sugar will really fuck you up. So it's based on addiction. It's kind of obvious.
For various health reasons. But I'm going to set all of this aside because quite frankly, I don't care. It's completely irrelevant to what I do on my channel. For any of that knows, because none of them are going to be optimal health. Let's just be realistic. There's potential deficiencies in both. So anyone who's claiming that, you're a moron. Next word.
Let's put it this way. If you're a lifter, you definitely want to stay away from salt. Believe me.
All right. The ethical end.
Where innovation meets the skies.
The ethical end, I don't care. It's irrelevant to what I do. Not my problem. You deal with it. Just don't come to me and say that, hey, now I can't gain the muscle or strength I want, or try to pretend that either one are appropriate, because they're not. And I'm going to discuss kind of the breakdown of both of why. And it should be obvious, but it oftentimes
why.
isn't. But let's discuss this for a moment. A lot of people have a fair amount of success losing body fat on both, but that is not the topic here. Any calorie deficit or anything that reduces total calorie intake, which both have the extreme potential to do, will help you lose body fat. Okay. No argument there. We all understand that this is the case. Every reasonable person accepts this. These are the two most farthest extreme apart diets, yet because both reduce refined
They're not a diet. Carnivore is not a diet. Christ, man, what's the matter with this guy?
foods to some extent. To some extent, not necessarily both. There are people who eat tons of junk food on both. They reduce refined foods and it limits food groups. Obviously, this can cause
Does he not understand that people were starving in the past? They're slaves. They eat slave food diet because, man, these slaves in the fields, they would do anything to eat because they were starving. Their masters wouldn't feed them properly. They didn't give them meat. So they would figure out other ways to, make stuff, and they would create stuff because they were hungry. They were starving, like bread, for example. They figured out a way how to make stuff out of wheat, like bread. You understand me? So they didn't starve completely to death, curb their pains in their stomach. Yeah. So it became tradition. So it's tradition now, and then it becomes marketing. It's a business.
reduction in energy intake, which in turn, you lose weight. You lose body.
They're really considered survival foods, but I would say based on addiction now, because the way these companies they run how they exploit it is it's based on addiction. Honestly, it's based on addiction. They know that. Even those crazy, what was it? Cheetos, those Cheetos, the hot Cheetos, they put a chemical in there, literally caused people to keep eating them to the point where they died. Then they got sued because of it.
That not difficult to understand, not unbelievable in either case. Perfectly reasonable to expect that that's what would happen. So that being said, let's talk a little bit about muscle growth. All right, vegan, flat out. Not only do we have nutrient deficiencies to deal with, right? This is understood.
The question is this: why do they have nutrient deficiencies? Because obviously meat is not deficient in any nutrient. There, Blaha already proved it. That carnivore is not a diet. We are carnivore because it's not deficient in any nutrients. You understand me? It's not based on addiction. Here's the thing. You as a carnivore is not based on addiction. So it must be based on what? Health. Yeah. So what is vegan? It's not based on health. It's based on animals. Whatever, these people, these cultists, these vegan cults. It's based on we're going to save the planet and save animals. So it's not based on health. So it is not a diet. It is nothing, really.
Deficiencies to deal with, oftentimes requiring supplementation, and if it's not met, already a problem.
And the question is this: these so-called supplement. Why would you need supplementation? That means that it's not perfect. And these supplements, how do you know that you can actually absorb them or anything? They're synthetic. How do you know they even work? They don't. The health food store, they're not regulated. You don't know.
The issue is the protein intake, protein quality. People will argue all the time, well, this one study found an increase in
Protein intake, protein quality. It's not just protein. It's fucking nutrients, dude.
and muscle protein synthesis from this vegan shake and blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. But when we do
He has this obsession with everything is protein, but he doesn't talk about nutrients. Now he says to you it's deficient in nutrients. But he never said that carnivore was deficient in any nutrients, did he? He said vegan is. So which one is superior? The carnivore people, or this vegan diet? Which one's superior? He said you need supplementation. Therefore, it's an inferior what? Diet. Carnivore is not a diet, so it can't be inferior. Get it? You understand me? This is stupid. It's what humans eat. Now, as cows, as herbivores, what do they eat? Grass. Well, if they eat grains, it's an inferior food, grain. And so they suffer. They tolerate it, but they suffer from it. Yeah. And it'll cause diseases in their bodies. And so they have to be inoculated constantly because their body is rejecting it and it's causing metabolic diseases. So you're eating a sick cow. You're eating sick cows.
Studies on actual lifters, and we measure this. What we are finding is that it is extremely difficult for existing lifters when they're put on a balanced vegan diet, even trying to take protein intake fairly high with sports dietitians, registered dietitians helping, they struggle to maintain muscle and strength. Okay? They struggle to maintain muscle and strength.
No, really? You just said it was deficient in nutrients. So if it is, it's kind of obvious. They can't gain any muscle or any strength. Well, yeah. It feminizes you, vegan diets, and lifting heavy concentrically feminizes you.
Even keep.
Look, it causes your testicles to shrink. It crashes your testosterone, lifting heavy concentrically crashes it, shrinks your testicles, it feminizes you, and you can't perform athletically. See what I mean? And it reduces your masculinity. It doesn't make you masculine. What makes you masculine is bodybuilding. Lifting eccentrically masculinizes you. It's a known fact. And it's a known fact that lifting heavy concentrically feminizes you.
What they have already built on a more appropriate diet. This is understood. More often than not, any of the athletes, lifters, other people who go vegan and are successful, they built their base on meat. They built their base on meat and dairy.
Their base on a high nutrient diet. Yes, meat.
Already, and then they switch to the diet. More often than not, they abandon it because it starts to become problematic. This is the norm, by the way. This happens over and over and over.
They abandon
then they
it.
get cited.
They abandon it. How does it become problematic having a high nutrient diet? What's problematic about that?
Being vegans or plant-based, and then they eventually abandon it.
The vegan diet. Yeah, they abandon it because it's not viable. It lacks nutrients. And then eventually they start deteriorating. Yeah, the vegan compilation.
One of the few exceptions would be someone like Patrick Bombino or whatever, who never reached a high level in his sport. Strongest vegan in the world is a vegan.
My name is Ryan Fee for
The vegans all claim never made it to a world level event in his sport, his strength sport being strongman. So not a particularly successful competitor. And then when you look at his diet, the guy consumes like 25 pills a day.
Yeah, he took steroids.
Literally lives on enormous, ridiculous amounts of vegan protein shakes to even pull off what he is doing. This is absurd. It's problematic. It's difficult. So again, the most extreme example you have, the guy literally lived on supplements, still was never that particularly successful in spite of all the obvious drug use and everything else involved. I mean, and this is like one example. And everything he had to do was even more extreme than everything people do on just normal, sane diets. It doesn't work. It's inappropriate. We've seen it repeatedly. It's a well-known and well-observed fact that the vegans struggle with gaining muscle and strength. That's why the ones who are successful are so few and far between, and they still never really make it to the top. So, because again, the diet is limiting. All right, carnivore, this should be obvious. Let's set aside nutrient deficiencies, the lack of fruits and vegetables, phytonutrients. We know these are all relevant.
They're not relevant. They're not relevant to carnivores. They're not a necessity. That's why right now they were talking about in China, they were asking, why are they not buying any fruits or vegetables? Because it's not a necessity. You don't need them. That's what they said in the news. The Chinese said, we don't need them. So they don't buy them. They're not stupid. They know that they get all the nutrients in meat. So it's not a necessity to be eating these fruits and vegetables. So these farmers are suffering or something. They can't sell their fruits and vegetables as of recently. Something. They said that in the news. I don't know if that's true. If they're buying them or not.
All All right, a few things to consider. Yes, it tends to have large amounts of protein. That's a plus in its favor, high bioavailable protein. The problem is the lack of carbohydrates. The problem is also
The lack of carbohydrates doesn't, if your body needs it, it'll create it, it'll convert it, it'll create it. You don't need carbohydrates.
long-term oftentimes impact on insulin sensitivity. The excessive amount of saturated fat, let's cover that before we get into the lack of carbohydrates. Reduced insulin sensitivity. We see this with their fasting glucose, their fasting insulin is oftentimes bad. All right. This alone creates a bit of a problem with the anabolic response, anabolic signaling. Again, we come over to, it's usually the excessive saturated fat. It starts to become a problem here. We've seen this in lifters over the years. We're definitely not optimal. May not be a super big problem, but it is going to be some loss of optimization there. The big one, the excessively low carbohydrate intake. We have data on this. When carbohydrates go as low as they're doing to nearly zero, it is very difficult to maintain performance, very difficult to gain muscle mass. This is something many of the carnivores have noted. They struggle to gain
No kidding.
muscle. We come back over to the same ideas of, but this carnivore over here, that carnivore is jacked. Except, one, they're obviously on lots of drugs. Number two, how many of them built their muscle beforehand? Okay. It seems to be the norm, just like
They're jacked. Built their muscle before, okay.
the vegans. Sean Baker, a perfect example. He was bigger and stronger before he became a carnivore. Now, granted, we say, well, he's gotten older. He's past 50 years old. He's going to lose muscle and strength. Yeah, fair, and that's a perfectly valid point. If his, but the problem is people can't say, well, he's got muscle and strength, but he was bigger and stronger a decade ago. He was bigger, stronger 20 years ago. He was a world-class level, national level competitive power lifter who was eating a more balanced, appropriate diet. So he already built his muscle. He hasn't maintained all of it. Right? So even if he did lose some and then regains a little, there's some muscle memory, he's still not where he was when he was younger and on a more appropriate diet. Generally speaking, the insanely low carbohydrate that they are promoting, it's been noted repeatedly in the research as a problem for athletic performance, repeatedly a problem for muscle gain, and if they're going to be in denial of this, then they don't get to be in denial of the vegan situation. These same people will harp on about the vegan and the low quality protein, and they'll look at the data and be like, aha, see, until it comes to their diet, then they're hypocrites. All right, it's inappropriate. Both diets are inappropriate for this goal. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.